So last week we decided that we want to do a group project together. And what this is going to be is we're going to take a new process in Curious Ants and break it down into basically bite-sized pieces for the next 3 months. And while we go through our regular calls, every time in the next 3 months, we're going to reserve a little bit of time to work with each other on this project. Let me introduce you to the project. So what we're going to try to do together is build what we call link-worthy or link-bait, we might call it, content. And so I got the process rudimentarily here. And this is the idea that it's one thing to build links for your clients' sites, and your clients need links. But it's another thing to build content that just sits back and attracts links to your clients' sites. And so what we're going to do is work on this project together, building for each of our own personal sites a different link bait idea. So let me give you an example of link bait that I did a while back that I am going to do a second iteration on. So I wrote this article a while back about how much it costs to do business online because I was trying to counteract the idea that everybody wants cheap websites, right? We all have clients that come to us and they're like, hey, I don't have any budget. And so I want to show people that it's an expense. It's not just an expense, and it's an investment. And just basically, it's only going to cost you about $306 a year to have a website on average. And it goes through, all the different things that come up to an expense for having an online business. $16 a year for domain, $57 a year for web hosting. You probably need a new website every 3 to 5 years. Website maintenance so you can keep your website up costs $63 a year. Maybe a privacy policy, maybe an email service. And so what this is actually a result of a survey I did, where I asked people some of these questions, and I took the answers. Didn't get a lot of answers. That's why I think the data is off, but that allowed me to produce this. And so the idea here is this is something that's helpful, that's relevant to my target audience, that can exist to attract links to my website because I put a lot of time and effort into it. But it's not just about like writing something interesting. There's a whole process, and it starts with finding your content idea, collecting information about your idea, producing the content, publishing it, and then promoting it. And the example we kind of came up with, another example, was the blue and black or gold and white dress a few years ago. Remember this? I just heard something on NPR about this recently, so it came back to mind. That was very intentionally designed to go viral. It was not just something that happened to go viral. BuzzFeed produced it with the intent to make it go viral. And so they accomplished what we're trying to accomplish. We might not go that viral. It might not be something in 5 years we remember, right? But for most of our clients, we don't need it that viral. We just need to make a little bit of a splash. And that's what, as a group, I'd like us to work together on to build for our sites. Does that make sense? Any questions?
So we're following the same process. We're just
Right.
doing this on our own site or for a client site that we want to do it on, something like
Right.
that.
Yeah. I think we decided so we can record the process, it's probably safer to do it on our own sites.
Yeah.
Because here I am outing myself as trying to intentionally build links to something. I don't want to make my clients' content effort look insincere.
Yep.
Right? I don't mind taking that hit because I think people in our industry know, okay, that's what David's doing here. But so the first step of this, and one of the things we need to talk about today, and then next week, finish the conversation, is how to find our content idea. But I will suggest to you all, as we think about the content idea, this isn't really a step-by-step process because you also need to consider while you're thinking about your idea, how you're going to get information about it, concurrently with how you're going to produce it or what you're going to produce, where you're going to publish it, and how you're going to promote it. And that's the trick. So one of the things I'm releasing email addresses on the screen. I asked people to leave an email address once they filled out the survey because I'm building the content in light of how I'm going to promote it. And really, frankly, one of the best way to promote it is send it out to my list. Send it to my social network, right? So this is not just how to write really good content for your website, right? We're building it in light of all the future steps, right? So there's content production is a great example. I didn't just write an article. I did, but I didn't just write an article. I produced unique infographics, right? They're branded, right? These could probably be better. So great, I'm going to improve them, right? I could have put all this together in one big long infographic, or maybe that's a secondary piece of content I could create from this one big infographic thing, which might be something that's very shareable on social media. But so in other words, I think I'm beating the horse pretty dead here. Don't just think about, hey, I got an idea, but think about it in terms of the steps that are coming down the line so that we, when I'm collecting the information for my survey, I'm also thinking, how am I going to promote it back to these people who took the time to fill out the survey? Right? I did ask some open-ended questions, other expenses, right? So now I'm probably going to go back to these results and add some line items to this survey of other expenses I didn't ask about last time. Sorry, I'm getting off track. But the point is that collecting information is built in light of the topic, obviously, but also the content I'm producing and how I'm going to promote it. So it's all working together, and that's the complicated part of this. But I'd like us to all kind of work on something for our own site over the next few months. And just every time we get together, we're going to do a check-in. And I think too, like getting each other's opinions and help will be helpful because we'll be able to like, yeah, David, I mean, this is maybe a good start, but like, maybe it's not how much does it cost to do business, but how much should you charge as a web developer? Since that's really my target audience, right? Target audience isn't small website owners, it's people providing services. So maybe I pivot it, but getting your input on this and us all contributing together to input on the content on your site can be a real helpful like check in the system because I might be a little blind to my own biases here.